Let's start in California, where a powerful storm, a so-called atmospheric river, caused serious flooding and other damage up and down the state. Many streets in Long Beach were covered in water, several feet deep, in fact. Heavy rain and snow is moving inland today, while another storm is lining up to hit the coast. Carter Evans has more on the damage.
Oh my God.
Torrential downpours dropped a month's worth of rain in a matter of hours in Long Beach, California. The flooding so severe in some places, drivers were swamped.
Hey, the boat's in the water, they're coming!
In Orange County, swift water teams conducted multiple rescues, including this man trapped in rushing water and another hoisted to safety by helicopter. Further south in the community of Seal Beach, water flooded homes and stores, expensive and frustrating for residents and business owners.
The city's pumping station, which we rely heavily upon here, did not function, clearing out this side of the street. This isn't a new problem, but it persists and it persists and it persists.
The same storm dumped several inches of fresh powder in the mountains of Southern California.
Yeah, it's perfect. Look at the snow.
Good news for ski resorts, but a challenge to get there. The storm started in Northern California, where the cleanup has already begun.
I'm glad I wasn't standing there when it fell, but it's enormous.
But the break in the weather won't last long, with another big storm forecast to slam California this weekend. Carter Evans, CBS News, Los Angeles.
California's flood threat continues through the weekend, and meteorologist Stephanie Abrams with our partners at the Weather Channel is tracking all of this. Steph, good morning.
Nate, good morning. Thanks to our virtual view technology, we can take you to Los Angeles and show you what the weather will look like. We'll get a break from the rain today and much of tomorrow, but Sunday we start getting drenched again in Southern California. It will spread throughout the state. And along some of the coastal areas, excessive rain could lead to flooding Sunday, Monday into Tuesday. Today and tomorrow we'll have scattered rain and snow showers in the west. Sunday, it picks up in intensity in California and Nevada. Along with those winds, too, it spreads north and east from there, and it just keeps coming. We'll be dealing with messy weather into our Thursday. We could see an unprecedented amount of rain. Double-digit totals will create slick roads and closures. Moisture that hits colder air at higher elevation will produce over 6 feet of snow. And a system in the south will help us keep chipping away at the drought thanks to another couple inches of rain over the next several days. For more in-depth coverage, you can watch the Weather Channel on cable or live on your favorite TV streaming devices. Nate, we've had an active start to the year, and it's continuing right into February.
You're right about that. Stephanie Abrams, thank you.
Breaking overnight, a tragedy in Clearwater, Florida, where a small plane crashed into several mobile homes, and officials are telling us multiple people are dead this morning. It happened just 3 miles from a local airport. Not clear what went wrong at this hour. Christiane Benavides reports now from Clearwater.
I was screaming, call 911, call 911.
Cell phone video caught the moments right after a small plane crashed into this mobile home park in Clearwater, Florida.
It was all units responding. We get a report of an airplane crash that was above head. The trailer at this location is now on fire.
Authorities say several people were killed, but it is not known how many victims were on board the plane or inside the multiple homes that caught fire.
We're in the process of working through with FAA and NTSB to identify the aircraft as well as the pilot or any other members that may have been aboard that aircraft.
Flight reports show the Beechcraft 35 Bonanza left from Vero Beach Regional at 6:08 p.m. en route to Clearwater Air Park. But less than 1 hour after takeoff, the pilot reported engine failure, and Clearwater's fire chief said shortly before coming down, the pilot was heard saying, "Mayday, mayday, mayday."
The aircraft went off radar about 3 miles north of the runway.
Witnesses on the ground described the horror, and they're wanting to help.
I just come out because I wanted to get everybody out, but the heat was horrible.
Now their focus is on the people affected by the crash.
Could have been one of our friends. We got friends all in here.
And in fact, even today, you can still smell the smoke. And if you step back far enough, you can even see that the crash site is still smoldering. The NTSB is still investigating, looking into what is it exactly that led to that Mayday call. Meantime, the victims' families are still being notified. Jerika?
Christiane Benavides, thank you. The Michigan mother whose son murdered 4 other students gave dramatic testimony in her own trial yesterday. Jennifer Crumbly told the jury she wouldn't have done anything differently before her son's attack at his high school in 2021. Lilia Luciano is covering the trial in Pontiac, Michigan.
Jennifer Crumley took the stand in a courtroom outside Detroit Thursday. She's the first mother to ever be charged in her child's deadly school shooting.
Did you ever believe that your son needed mental health treatment?
No, I mean, there was a couple of times where Ethan had expressed anxiety, but not to a level where I felt he needed to go see a psychiatrist.
But school staff have testified that on November 30th, 2021, Ethan Crumley's parents were called to Oxford High School and urged to get him psychological help. Hours later, he pulled a handgun out of a backpack and killed 4 students.
My child harmed and killed other people. I wish he would have killed us instead.
Crumley testified that her husband James was the one who bought the gun 4 days before the shooting and was responsible for safely storing it.
It was more his thing.
Both parents face involuntary manslaughter charges, in part, prosecutors say, for ignoring the warning signs. Jurors heard chilling entries from the shooter's journal, writing, "My parents won't listen to me about help or a therapist, and I have zero help for my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up the school." Crumley cried in court as jurors watched surveillance video of her son's rampage. If convicted, what kind of precedent would this set?
A great precedent. It will change the whole landscape in how prosecutions are done in school shootings.
Jennifer Crumley has pleaded not guilty. Her son was sentenced to life in prison back in December, and her husband's trial is set to begin in March. Tony.
Lilia, thank you very much. We're going to turn now to the Middle East, where Iran's president is responding for the first time to America's threats of retaliation after the deaths of 3 U.S. service members in Jordan. Those soldiers will be honored in a dignified transfer ceremony today, and President Biden plans to be there. Ed O'Keefe is at the White House this morning, tracking all of it for us. Ed, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tony. Iran's president says it'll respond to anyone that bullies his country, and that solemn ceremony honoring those fallen American soldiers will be held this afternoon as the families are allowing it to be seen by the public. Speaking Thursday at the National Prayer Breakfast, President Biden paid tribute to the 3 soldiers killed in the Jordan attack, Sergeants William Rivers, Kennedy Sanders, and Breonna Moffett.
They risked it all, and we'll never forget the sacrifices and service to our country, that the dozens of service members who were wounded and are recovering now.
As for the U.S. response to the attack,
it's time to take away even more capability than we've taken in the past.
U.S. officials tell CBS News that targets in Iraq and Syria have been approved, including against Iranian personnel and facilities in those countries. And Iran's president, Ebrahim Raisi, responded today, saying Iran won't start a war, but will respond strongly to anyone who bullies it. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says this time will be different from the retaliatory strikes launched in response to other recent attacks.
They have a lot of capability. I have a lot more.
Walking with a limp into the Pentagon briefing room, it was Austin's first meeting with reporters since his hospitalization in December. He also said he apologized directly to President Biden for keeping his fight with prostate cancer a secret.
We did not handle this right. I did not handle this right. I should have told the president about my cancer diagnosis. I should have also told my team and the American public. And I take full responsibility. I apologize to my teammates and to the American people.
As far as the status of Secretary Austin's health is concerned, he said he's still dealing with leg pain but is going to physical therapy, and that doctors are confident he will continue to improve. Tony.
You know, Ed, in other news tied to the region, President Biden issued this executive order yesterday sanctioning 4 Israelis. These are settlers, people who are living inside the lines of what could be a future Palestinian state, seen as an obstacle to peace. What's it all about?
Yeah, it means the U.S. can now sanction any settlers or anyone else who commits or threatens violence or destruction of property in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. In essence, it reiterates U.S. support for the so-called 2-state solution or a separate Palestinian state. We should note the White House announced this new executive order on Thursday as the president was visiting swing state Michigan, home to a sizable population of Arab American and Muslim Americans upset with the president's continued support for the war that resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of Palestinian civilians. Tony?
Show of seriousness as well as the U.S. tries to broker this peace deal. Ed, thank you very much.
The Democratic presidential primary campaign begins tomorrow in South Carolina for the first time ever. The vote may be an important test for the support of President Biden, especially with black voters who helped revive his campaign 4 years ago. Nicole Killian is talking with voters in Columbia, South Carolina.
How are you doing today? Great. You guys are here to vote?
Southern hospitality on full display as South Carolina hosts the first sanctioned Democratic primary in the country, with early voting already underway.
Thank you, South Carolina!
In 2020, an endorsement from Congressman Jim Clyburn catapulted President Biden to frontrunner status. He swept the state, winning 48% of the vote in the primary and 60% of the black vote.
I wouldn't be here without the Democratic voters of South Carolina, and that's a fact.
The president and vice president have made multiple trips to the state to target black voters, but support may be softening. A recent CBS News poll shows 77% of black voters would back the president in a potential general election rematch with former President Trump, down 10 points from 2020.
I want to talk about why it's so important that you get out and vote.
At this Greenville church, Pastor Curtis Johnson is worried about a potential lack of enthusiasm.
How concerned are you that people will sit this election out?
I'm very concerned about it. I am concerned that so many of our community, and I understand, feeling that some of the issues that are more relevant to us are not being addressed.
We met with some members of his congregation who were split on their support, including independent voter Shannon Sloan.
Who did you support in 2020?
Joe Biden.
Why not vote for him again?
Well, I'm just trying to see if does he have any new ideas?
I was actually looking for something new, but I did support Biden.
Does Joe Biden excite you?
Honestly, no politician really excites me. I do like how Joe Biden is taking the country, and he doesn't get enough credit for it.
To have two octogenarians go and be our only candidates and consider them to be strong candidates is very difficult. I will be voting for Joe Biden. Not that I agree with everything that's taken place, but he is the better candidate.
The Biden campaign says it doesn't take any voter for granted and has been making investments since last summer to reach voters of color. Today, Vice President Harris will be back here in South Carolina to meet with faith leaders and headline a campaign rally before tomorrow's primary. Jerika?
All right, Nicole Killian for us in South Carolina. Thank you. All right, they're considered America's favorite couple. You know them, pop star Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs star Travis Kelce. But the attention on their relationship is also inspiring some truly bizarre conspiracy theories online. Some on the far right are claiming the two are part of some kind of liberal plot to swing the election toward Joe Biden. So how do these made-up theories quickly spread? Jolene Kent has the story.
A pop icon dating a superstar athlete, mix in a trip to the Super Bowl, and you have the ingredients for an alt-right conspiracy built for the age of the internet.
So is Swift a front for a covert political agenda?
Right-wing media outlets have spent weeks parroting the baseless claims that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are at the center of a liberal plot against former President Donald Trump.
Build them up, build them up, build them up, and then at the moment of truth, they're going to endorse Biden.
But the bad blood between Taylor Swift and Team Trump goes back years. In 2018, she endorsed two Democrats in Tennessee.
Let's say that I like Taylor's music about 25% less.
And during the 2020 election, she threw her support behind Joe Biden. Their meteoric rise in popularity in recent months has riled up some Trump diehards, including former GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, leading many to speculate, without evidence, that the Super Bowl outcome is, quote, rigged to give Swift a bigger platform to endorse Biden again.
How quickly did these conspiracy theories proliferate?
So these will typically start to simmer in the dark web and kind of the fringes and underbelly of the internet. And then at some point, they gain traction around other events. In this case, it was the Super Bowl.
Wasim Khaled is the CEO of Blackbird AI, a company that monitors disinformation.
Here, we can see all these individual little small conversations all starting to connect.
Khaled showed us how his company's AI-driven platform has been tracking conspiracies about Swift and Kelce for months.
So here we actually see that spread, we see it snowballing, and we can actually see a narrative evolve, grow, and become more harmful over time. In fact, often when we color code something red, they could be bot-like activities.
This is proof that social media can take a
a kernel of a lie and turn it into an entire corn on the cob.
Longtime pollster Frank Luntz believes that Trump and his base may have turned on Swift because they worry about her influence on the younger electorate. Last year, more than 35,000 new voters signed up in one day after Swift encouraged her Instagram followers to register to vote. And for groups looking to undermine Swift or anyone else's influence, Khaled says the disinformation playbook is abundantly clear.
Whether financial motives or ideological, that the tradecraft that's developed, much like cyber attacks developed over the years, it's designed to be an attack on human perception.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Jo Lynn Kent.
All right, this is very weird, and the Wall Street Journal editorial board, which I think is kind of the voice of sane conservatives and Republicans, say this is lunacy or theater, and it makes all Republicans look, in their words, weird.
Yeah, this is ridiculousness at its finest.
It's not normalcy, that's for sure. I don't know what is going on. Sane people, relent.